What happens when every safeguard in our justice system fails simultaneously? Today we're examining a case that reads like a legal textbook of what not to do, where a man's freedom hangs in the balance because of a staggering series of constitutional violations, and what's fascinating is how these errors compound each other, creating what legal experts call a perfect storm of injustice.
Check one, check.
Let's start with the most glaring issue, the mysterious swap of defense attorneys. You have John Bain, who successfully argued there wasn't even probable cause for the case to proceed, suddenly replaced by Kevin Shea, who had multiple bar complaints against him. That's like trading in a winning lottery ticket for a handful of expired scratch-offs, isn't it? Exactly, and here's where it gets worse. Shea failed to call crucial witnesses who could have completely undermined the prosecution's case. We're talking about Kenneth Hainsworth and Kenneth Taylor, who were actually present during the incident and could have testified that Wood was allowed to enter the property. So wait, they had eyewitnesses who could have disproved the breaking part of breaking and entering, and nobody called them to testify? Right, and that's just the beginning. The prosecution had this witness, Tamika Cooper, who had some kind of cooperation deal, but they never disclosed it to the defense. That's what we call a Brady violation, and it's a fundamental breach of due process. And then there's this bombshell about Teddy Thompson, the prosecution's star witness with quite a colorful past they conveniently forgot to mention. Oh yeah, let's talk about Thompson. Multiple armed robberies, illegal possession of firearms, and potential involvement in the actual shooting. All of this was kept from the jury. It's like watching a play where half the script has been deliberately torn out. And here's what really gets me. In 2015, the city attorney's office revealed that 227 Rip Rap Road wasn't even a valid residential property when this all happened in 2000. That detail is absolutely crucial because the entire charge required this to be a dwelling. Without that element, the charge itself becomes legally impossible, like trying to charge someone with submarine theft in the middle of the desert. Well, at least the jury was properly informed about all the other aspects of the case, right? Actually, no. And this is where it gets even more concerning. The jury wasn't even told that parole had been abolished in Virginia, which was required by law under the Fishback decision. They were essentially making decisions without understanding the full implications of their verdict. You know what's striking about all this? There wasn't even any physical evidence connecting Wood to a firearm, yet he was convicted of using one. Exactly. It's like being convicted of driving under the influence when there's no evidence you were ever in a car. And here's the kicker. All of these errors together create what's called cumulative error, where the combined effect of multiple constitutional violations demands a new trial. The financial burden of fighting these errors must be enormous. That's why, there's now a GoFundMe campaign to help with legal expenses. We're talking about thousands of dollars in court costs, attorney fees, transcripts, and all of this has to be done while Wood is behind bars with limited resources. It really makes you wonder how many other cases like this are out there, doesn't it? That's perhaps the most troubling aspect of all this. For every case like Wood's that manages to get attention and support, how many others are sitting in prison because they couldn't afford to expose similar errors in their cases? So what happens next? Does the system correct itself, or does it take even more time and resources? Well, the legal analysis concludes that a new trial isn't just justified, it's demanded by law. When you have Brady violations, ineffective counsel, improper jury instructions, and questions about whether the crime even occurred as charged, the system has to take a second look. Otherwise, what's the point of having these constitutional protections in the first place? It really shows how justice isn't automatic. It requires vigilance, resources, and often community support. And that's the key takeaway here. Our justice system is only as good as our willingness to correct its mistakes. Sometimes that means challenging conventional wisdom. Sometimes it means raising uncomfortable questions, and sometimes it means reaching into our own pockets to ensure justice is served. So please feel free to follow the link to the GoFundMe and help to fight this injustice.